In the last video I talked about how to avoid long division in some situations, especially in situations where they ask specifically for the remainder theorem. But in this video I'm going to bring it back to that long division, because sometimes they ask for it in a roundabout way. They ask for long division. So I'm going to put up at the here long division. And they don't ask for it in a direct way. What they'll do is they'll say in an earlier question, they'll say use the, I'm going to put FT factor theorem to show that maybe x plus 1 is a factor of g of x, which we have over there. So then what you would do is you'd say, right, well, the factor theorem says if I put the kind of negative of this into here, so if I go g of minus 1, then I'm going to end up with 0, therefore x plus 1 is a factor. So then we already know that x plus 1 is one of the factors in this, one of the three factors, because this is an x cubed. So we're going to get g of x, we know, is going to look something like, we're going to have x plus 1, and then we're going to have an x plus or minus something, some a, and then x plus or minus some b. And that's what it's going to look like. And what they'll say is, well, what is a and what is b? They'll ask for it in that kind of way. So what we then have to do is use long division to see what are the other terms in this. So let's write this out. Let's write out, we've got x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6, and we're going to divide it by x plus 1. So in doing that, in dividing g of x by x plus 1, we get, imagine dividing both sides by x plus 1, we're going to end up with these two over here. So we're actually going to end up with a quadratic, which we can then break down into x plus a and x plus b. So how do we do that? How do we go about doing long division? Well, you may have seen this method used, I don't know, with regular numbers in lower years. But what we're going to do is say, right, let's look at this term on the left, let's look at the x, and let's look at the leftmost term here. What do we need to times x by to get to x cubed? Well, that is going to be x, hang on, that's the wrong way. Let me say that again. What do we have to times x by to get to x cubed? We have to times it by x squared. So x squared times by x is going to be x cubed. So what I'm saying there is I'm going to times x squared by these, everything over here, and I'm going to write it in the bottom here. So I'm going to write that in, I'll do it in the same colour. So we're going to have x squared times x is going to be x cubed. X squared times 1 is going to be plus x squared. And then what I'm going to do is draw a line under here and do a subtraction. So I'm going to say everything on that top there, everything up here, this long cubic, take away these two terms. So x cubed minus x cubed is going to be 0, and then 2x squared minus x squared is going to be plus 1x squared. And these two terms just carry down like this. You can imagine this is, plus 0, and minus 5x minus nothing is minus 5x, and the same goes for minus 6. And then we do the same thing again. So let's have a different colour. So what do we need to times x by, the leftmost term, to get to x squared? That's going to be plus x, because x times by x is x squared. So again, times x by this x plus 1. I think you get better at this the more of them you see, but we're going to have an x squared here, and then we're going to have x times by plus 1. So we're going to have a plus 1x in there. And then do the same thing, do another takeaway. And we do this as many times as we can until we get zeros all the way down here, and we end up with nothing left. And we'll end up with a quadratic on the top as well. So x squared minus x squared is going to be 0 again, then minus 5x take away an x is going to be minus 6x, and then this just carries down, so we get a minus 6 in there. And then the last thing we need to do the same thing one more time, so I'm going to pick purple again, I think. Let's go down a little bit, give myself some room. So we have one last thing, so we have minus 6x here. What can we times x by? The leftmost term again, by the leftmost term. What do we need to times x by to get to minus 6x? That is going to be minus 6. So minus 6x goes in there, and then minus 6 times by 1 is going to be minus 6, and there we go, we get 0. We know we got 0 because we knew that x plus 1 is a factor, and we know that from the factor theorem. We know that if we put minus 1 in here we get 0, so we knew that was going to be a 0. If you don't get 0 there, something's gone wrong. But this is how we get that. So we get an x squared plus x minus 6. So we can write down g of x is equal to x plus 1 times by x squared plus x minus 6, which I got from up here. So in the next video I'll do another long division like this so that you really get the idea. See you on the next one.